Hey guys, it's Tuesday morning's devotion just about to come up. Look at that beautiful sunrise just starting to come through over there. Yesterday we were focusing on the name El Roi, which is a name of God given to him by a young lady called Hagar, who got herself into a terrible mess. She had fallen pregnant to Abraham, the man who we hold in high faith esteem, but this man had feet of clay, we see that. And he fell into the trap of trying to make a plan because he thought that maybe God had forgotten him. And so he left this young lady pregnant and alone in the middle of a wilderness. God revealed himself to her, and she called him El Roi, the God who sees me. Now, the human factor that we've been talking about here is that we always have people who make problems, people who cause the problems. But we said yesterday that there were two other type of people as well. There are people who don't see problems, and there are people who run away from the problems. Both of them are in the story. We have a look at Hagar. She was the one who ran away from the problem, and we have a look at Abraham. He was the one who didn't see the problem. He tried to make it less than it was, and we see how his mess up had now come home to roost, and he had to own the fact that he had done something really, really stupid, but he just refused to do that. Now, Abraham, in the first category, we see his frailty as a human being. We're sympathetic towards his humanity, but we cannot condone what he did. It was not just a lack of faith, but it was not a very clever thing to have done. But the fact was that he was not willing to acknowledge the problem. He just chose not to see it. I see people like that all the time, don't you? People who, from an outside point of view, you can see that they have the problem, but they choose, like an ostrich, to bury their heads in the sand, and the problem just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of like another king. His name was Ahab. You find his story in 1 Kings 18. And Ahab too failed to stand up against his queen Jezebel. And Jezebel did the most wicked of things. She was always trouble wherever she went. She was the one who had that terrible conflict with Elijah. And Ahab just stood aside and watched this thing happen, just hoped that it would all go away. But it didn't go away. He was paralyzed by the fear of confronting the problem, just like that ostrich. And then we see, secondly, we see people who run away from the problems like Hagar did. She just thought it'd be better just to head for the hills and hope that I can find a better life out there. And I see people like that too. I'm sure you do as well. People who say, if only I had another job, if only I had a different husband, if only I had a different wife, if only I had a different whatever. And so they look for the constant circumstances around them, and they think that what needs to change is those, and then they'll be happy again. And so they just keep running from one bad situation to another, to another, to another, only to find out that the problem follows them. You know why? It's because they are the problem. They are the ones who take their own problems with them. And as a result, they find themselves in the same situation over and over and over again. Have a look at the one that we often speak about, Jonah. Jonah ran away from God. He chose to ignore God's call upon his life, and he thought he'd do it his own way, only to find that his problems got worse and worse and worse. They followed him because the problem was not the problem was him. He was the source of his problem. I want you to ask yourself today, as you look at maybe your own life, and I'm not trying to be clever here, I want you to have a look at your own life and say, man, I'm just fraught with problems. I've got so much mess and so much misery around me. Remember we said yesterday, first step is take responsibility. Second step is stop running. Just stop running. If you're gonna run the opposite direction to where God is. This is where Jonah went wrong. He thought he could escape God. He couldn't, and he took himself with himself. And so today, as we look at this situation, this is a tough devotional to do because I sound so judgmental, and I apologize for that. But could it be that as a result of something you've done, said, or become, that your problems just continue to self-perpetuate behind you? Stop running, people. Stop running. Run to God. like the prodigal did. He ran to his father, he embraced his father, and he found that his father was so much more forgiving than he ever thought he would be. Won't you do the same thing today? Begin there, take responsibility and turn around, and if you're gonna run back to God. If only Jonah had done this, he just got himself into more and more trouble. He got more and more bitter and more twisted, and even at the end, you find a bitter and a twisted human being. You don't want to end like that, do you? None of us do. So let's return to God, let's repent, and let's make right with Him first. Have a great day.